And
Welcome everyone back to another Permadirt and Friends review. Today, just like last week, we are flying in with two people, except for this time we got Ostrichwrangler over there beside me. Look at that.
yeah,
What a nice wave.
Poke and I are fighting. So
Poka sends his regards. But after hearing about how little he was getting paid, he says, I'm taking next week off. So now I'm stuck with just Ostrich. So we got some real money flow issues here, apparently we have. So we're gonna have to start a GoFundMe or an OnlyFans or something. I don't know.
schedule one for real.
You're also in for a special week because Ostrich is doing the breakdown this week, which I think will be fun. I think it'll be fun
Yeah.
to not have to hear me talk. Oh,
Yeah. Take it,
won't it?
Sarge. I got my notes. So if you see me looking down a lot, I'm just trying to read. I took it like a
We're all
three-
just trying to read.
35-year-old
We're all
would
we're
on
all
the
just
paper.
trying to read.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so again, if you are checking us out for the first time, go ahead and check out the previous ones. We give scores and things at the end. We have a great time. If you have if you want to see the rest of them, it's up on Permadirt Gaming. But you'll be on that channel already. Just check them out, leave a comment, let me know who you like the most here. Maybe you like listening to Ostrich more and I'll let him talk more. I'll give him more responsibilities. Maybe it'll just be his show eventually.
I'll give me the reins.
Permadirt and Friends review. I'll be the friend and you can be the new Permadirt. All right. I guess then, if we have nothing else to say, I will give you the floor, Ostrich, and I will interrupt you a lot.
Please do, because I don't really know what I'm doing.
Episode 6.
Episode 6. Bad start. Kate thought I was on 5.
Oh, that's not good.
Let's start with me saying I hate one-off episodes. Um, this didn't feel quite like a one-off because I felt like they still tied, like it still gave us a lot of depth of their relationship without cutting back 20 years to find out Ellie's first girlfriend or something stupid like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't feel like it was a true flashback, even though there were flashbacks starting in 1983, which is where
Sure.
this review is going to start.
Yeah. In 1983.
Austin, Texas, great city.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. So the scene starts with a young Joel
Young Joel.
and a young Tommy.
Yep.
Joel is hanging out with Tommy, saying that he is going to take the fall for him and stuff like this. Tommy very concerned that he's going to get the belt from Dad.
Oh, everyone fears the belt as a child.
Yeah. And
Maybe
then
not
Joel,
anymore. I don't know if that's something people do anymore.
I don't think they can do it now. Simpler times in 1983.
Simpler time.
Joel just basically says, I'll take the belt for you, like, kind of go to your room and I'll deal with Dad. Obviously, issues with abuse there. Papa comes wandering in from, I think he's just on a break right now. He said he's got like 30 minutes before he has to go back to the precinct. He is a police officer.
Yes, we find out he is a police officer.
Which is neat and does add to the fear, I guess, a little bit. Is he also a Joel? Because his
he's a
tag,
J Miller. I don't know what his actual name is.
Yeah, and I mean, if he talks about, like, he's talking about his daddy in it, so it just seems like a passing down of names thing. But anyways, this is where I kind of faded off a little bit and didn't hear the full conversation, but I was writing notes. But Joel seems to be taking a fall for Tommy, in that he got into a fight and he was trying to buy some pot.
They were trying to buy some marijuana.
Yes. And stuff hit the fan, and then basically he was prepared for his dad to beat him for what he did because his dad said, if you weren't my kids, you'd be in jail right now. So obviously it's become a well-known thing that they were doing something bad and the law had to get involved.
I think it's pretty interesting too. Like, again, like you're saying, he tries to kind of cover it up in the beginning, tries to lie about it, try to say it was him and not his brother. So you can kind of see his hero complex already a little bit early on in life, like you're seeing later on in his life. But yeah, and then also the fact that, like, the cop was asking him already what his story was, and he knew right away he was lying because he had heard all the disposition and stuff that came through because it was reported and stuff. He heard what everything was going on there. So he knew he was lying immediately. He's like, nope, well, that's not what I heard. I heard both you were there, and then this and that and all these other things. So yeah, kind of interesting how quickly that spiraled out of control. They kind of had this plan, and the dad's just too smart. As you can kind of tell with Joel and like both the whole family, they're just very intuitive.
Yeah, Joel's a chip off his dad's block, and I'm sure his dad is a chip off his dad's block, and it's a lineage of Jay Millers all lying to each other. So,
Bunch, bunch of Jay Millers.
I mean, I feel like in every show with an abusive relationship, you expect things to go south from here, but it takes a bit of a different approach. So, Papa comes in a whole lot more sympathetic, and gives him, I think, a whole lot more of an emotional speech than maybe Joel was expecting.
Mhm.
He walks over to the fridge, cracks opens two cold ones,
Opens too.
one for his son, one for him, uh, and he starts to, I guess, talk about his dad and when he started to beat him and do all that stuff. So he talks about the time when he first stole a candy bar from the cashier and something like this.
Mm.
Uh, and then he kind of says, "This is how my life was." So,
Yeah, he has this long sort of story about how he says like, "Oh man, this one time I stole his candy bar, and it was so bad. My dad hit me in the face, broke my jaw. My jaw was wired shut for 2 weeks. Um, he said I was so embarrassed, but everybody knew what had happened. Everybody knew. He said it was wired shut. I had to go to school. Everybody knew um, everything. He said it's very humiliating. So then he kind of cracks the beer and puts it down, and they're kind of talking about this, and he's kind of breaking into tears again. Is like you said, a little bit of a curveball, probably.
yeah,
I'm gonna guess this man isn't used to crying in front of his kids.
no. But then he asks him, he's like, "Well, why do you do it then?" He's like, "Why are you doing this when you know how bad it made me feel, or how bad you felt?" Sorry. And then there's this. He kind of just makes an excuse, right? Like he kind of just says, "I lose my temper sometimes, or I've hit you and I've hit Tommy, but never nearly as bad as what my dad did to me."
Yeah.
Um, and then kind of ends with the quote. Sorry, I'm gonna wait for it to pop up here. Unless you have it.
Oh, the quote they has, yeah.
What does he say? Come on.
Do basically what? Just basically do a little better than me. When you
Yeah,
have your own kids, try and do a little. Oh yeah, do a little better than my father did, or I did a little better than my.
yeah. He says, "I'm doing a little bit better than my father did,"
Yeah.
and then hopefully one day when you have kids, you can do a little bit better than.
But I think that's so true though, right? Like, I mean, a lot of people think like, okay, that sucked, but I mean, again, we're getting like it's a lot of the first 2 minutes of the show here, but it is important because for everything that we see later, like, and I do think that is something the human experience where people are like, well, if my dad or whatever was really terrible, if I had a really bad coach or if I had a really bad whatever, like, I'm not going to be as bad as them.
Right, but
I will teach them. I
you're
will teach
taught.
them, and it might be tough, but I won't go as far as them, right? Which is kind of what he's saying here. Do you know what? He's like, I am tough on you guys. I beat you. He's like, yeah, and I'm wrong for it. He's like, but I guess I haven't done it nearly as bad as my dad did to me,
Right, which
right?
as the
So,
sons who are just the receivers of the abuse, I'm sure they're
yeah.
still like, "But we don't. This still sucks." Like,
Yeah, exactly. Oh, for
um,
sure.
and then yeah, that obviously that quote is going to come back a little bit later, in a very heavy way. But
Yep.
starting scene, and then we kick into. I didn't get a time on this one. Does it give us a time?
59:29. So this one also before we get too far, this one is 59 runtime 59:29 and it is directed by none other than uh oh, why am I drawing a blank? Guy who made the game,
Druckmann,
Druckmann, Neil Druckmann.
Neil Druckmann.
This is his episode.
Yeah,
So Neil Druckmann also helped write it for this. So that's a big one.
which makes sense because there's a, well, we'll talk about it later, but there's a very important scene that is, well, there's a
Yep.
couple that are very big on the game. But
Uh-huh.
a lot of this is taken kind of not from the game. Uh, Obviously the big moments are, but the kind of the in-betweenies are pretty much exclusively from TV. So,
Yep.
we're
They rolled back the old intro with both fungus people,
mhm.
which I actually paid attention the very first time. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna catch it this time. I know I knew this was gonna be a flashback one. I'm like, oh my goodness, I'm gonna make sure I catch this intro change the first time, and I did.
Skip the
I
intro
did
every time.
every time.
Um, but we're back in Jackson now. It is 2 months after they arrive, and we've got a scene with Joel coming up to the bar and hanging out with Seth. People forget Seth is the guy who had a bit of a run-in with Ellie the night of their dance, called them some homophobic, not nice things, and then kind of made up or he tried to make up for it by the time that she left. But this is before all of that, and Joel comes in, gets a drink, and then there is a trade that Joel wants to make with Seth, and he
Yeah,
gives
there
him
is.
a bundle of Lego.
Oh, give me some of that Lego. Give me some of that
Yeah.
Lego, bro.
So there's a bit of a chat where he says, "My grandkids are gonna love this," and "Where'd you find it? I'm a better smuggler than you," and all this stuff. There's a little bit of a just a casual nothing conversation. Uh,
Yep.
but then Joel's kind of asking him about what the trade is in return, and then he says it has to be in by tomorrow, which you find out in the next scene is he's trying to prepare something for Ellie and her birthday. And then
Yep.
Seth kind of leaves with the scene of, "Do you want vanilla or chocolate? Vanilla's way easier."
Yeah. So a very interesting scene again too, because I think in the arc of Seth, I think it's super important because again, like you look at what what Joel's relationship is with Seth going forward. Like Seth
Mm-hmm.
is an ex cop. Um, I think they tell us that in this.
Yes,
Is it this one or the other one? Sorry, I might
this
got ahead
was
there.
in this one, I think.
Yeah, he tells him his cop, which is kind of like again, you got the whole daddy thing issue there. He's a bit older than obviously Joel. But also, it's just interesting because you can see how much they work together, and they're kind of not best friends, but they're actually pretty good friends. So that when you fast forward to where they have their sort of the dance scene, um, it does show again how protective he is because of
Right.
the relationship he's built here. Like they're on pretty good standing, and then he launches him across the room. Like so, you can just see there's still that like that sort of snap, not say snap job, but like there's still that very protection. Like I don't care who you are, you could be,
Oh yeah,
you know, you could be anybody close to me, and I would have done that because that's
it's
Ellie.
Ellie. Yep.
Yeah,
Um, yeah. And then it kind of comes into the next scene where he's doing a lovely little guitar restoration with bones and restringing and sanding and using that tool thing to make a pretty little moth. Um,
little moth.
Basically making a guitar for her,
Mm.
that he's going to eventually give to her. And that's, I don't know. That's kind of all I got on the guitar thing. Unless you want
Yeah,
to,
he puts the yeah, I think you said he put the moth on it.
yeah.
Which again during this episode's a crucial thing.
Hmm.
Uh, this is kind of where they're starting to, or Ellie's starting to get into these moths and things.
Yeah.
Um,
Which comes into play
yeah,
in a
no,
little
it's
scene
basically
later.
like you see he checks the room, to make sure she's not in there. Um, other than that, you can tell he's kind of getting into woodworking again too, which we know already. So
Hmm.
nothing really new here.
Yeah, we're built. Everything's building up, obviously, to what's going to be her birthday. And then
Yeah,
before that happens, he kind of gets, well, he starts kind of messing around the guitar, like he's going to start playing it a bit. And then he hears a shout from Tommy downstairs with Ellie with him, and she comes on up the stairs pretty darn high.
oh yeah,
Uh, she says that she had burned herself in a, let's say it's a convenient spot. Um, so where she got burned is where she was bit, and she is trying to hide that bite up with a burn,
yeah,
which eventually then gets slapped on with the tattoo and all this other stuff. So it's kind of the theme of
yeah.
that right arm mutilation as she goes throughout this episode.
Yeah, she
Um,
says she just wanted to go back to wearing short sleeve.
yeah, and there's
Cannot blame her.
no, and there's really nothing to that one. She then kind of rolls over and tries to sleep off all the druggies. So,
Yeah, yeah.
but well, not the next day, but the same day. She wakes up from her little drug adventure, and it's a birthday. Still is.
Perfect.
And she walks downstairs to a beautiful cake that says "Happy Birthday, Eli." Um, Seth
Good. Thank goodness. Thank goodness
cannot
Seth is
spell.
can't spell anything.
No, not even a chance.
Eli.
Uh,
Hilarious.
and then Joel makes a joke about hopefully he can bake better than he can spell. Turns around to
Yeah.
grab a knife, turns back to Ellie, and she's already fistful of cake and looking awfully ridiculous eating that cake.
Ag-
So
Again, like who knows how many actual birthdays she's had in her life.
I think this
Um,
one will go as one of the better ones, probably.
Probably, but I mean, obviously, she grew up in a post-apocalyptic world. So this might be normal behavior just to go straight hands in, as where everyone else is like, no, yeah, you're supposed to cut a slice of that
Yeah,
thing, and
and
she
you
just goes ham on that, just grabs it. So
and you would think in Jackson that she's refined
domesticated a little
her
bit. Well, that's only
her
been two
a little bit,
months.
but I guess so, yeah. Um, and then Joel kind of breaks after this. He wanders off screen and comes back with the guitar that he has restored for her. Gives her a bit of a speech and kind of says like, "I promise I would teach you how to do this, and so I plan on teaching you."
Yep,
Um, she then forces him to sing, which
yep,
I don't think. Again, going back to the relationship thing, I don't think there is a single person in that world that could make Joel play guitar and sing aside from
probably
her.
not. He
So
says himself, he's like, I'm no singer.
yeah. Yo, oh no. Again? Did you get hit? Okay. Miss Wrangler just came down with a Kleenex stuffed up the nose from volleyball
Oh
smoke.
no. Uh, yeah, so
Um,
he plays guitar there.
Nice little song.
Yeah, was that Pearl Jam? Right, that's Pearl Jam.
I actually didn't know it.
That's his classic Pearl Jam song.
And he's like singing his gravelly, sad Joel voice, and
He wasn't even singing. Think of it more
no, he was
like
like
talking.
rapping. Yeah,
Yeah, it
it was nice though. It was good.
was very nice.
And then she talks about that not sucking,
Yep.
and it was yeah, that didn't suck. He said.
And then
So
that scene, yeah. And then we get a
1 year later,
boom.
whoa,
Whoa, we're jumping time now, folks.
we jump. And anything else you want to say on that first one?
Nope.
Okay.
Good first birthday. You can kind of see like they picked up where they left off, right? We see from the end of the first show like how close they were. They pick up. It's a great birthday. No problems here. Um, nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. We see everything's great,
Yep.
right? Because we're
They
trying to fill in
are
this backstory for
happy
everybody.
peachy.
Yep, everything's great. So
And boy,
1 year
does it get
later.
better before it gets worse.
Oh.
Um, so it starts off with them wandering through the woods together. Ellie's kind of jumping on rocks, both psyched. They're just kind of doing kind of their regular reconnaissancey thing together, just kind of looking around. Um, and she's guessing as to what he found. So she's talking about, is it a convertible? Is it a dinosaur? Which it is. And she's trying to guess what on earth he might have found. So he obviously teased it, said, "I want to show you something cool." And it being her
It's
birthday,
funny. She had never heard about a litter of kittens.
write a letter. Yeah, what did she call it? A
Uh, what do they call? Here I can find it. But it is
letter?
funny. The dinosaur thing is from the game as well. Sorry, while we're kind of just chilling time here. What is she called? A lauder. A
Lauder.
lauder of
Lauder of
chicken or
kittens.
chickens of kittens. A lot of kittens. He's like, you mean a litter? And she's like, ew, gross. No, like. But the dinosaur line is from the game.
hmm And before we get to that spot, she talks about wanting to be trained, and she says Jesse
Mm.
is going to train her
Oh
with
yeah,
like combat and stuff, so that she's able to go out and do some of the patrols with the crowd and stuff like that. And he's kind of like, "Chill out, you just turned 16. Like,
yeah,
give it. You've been 16 for an hour," he says.
yeah.
Um,
Well, yeah, but yeah, she throws it back saying like Jesse started at 16, blah blah
yeah,
blah.
yeah. Boohoo, everything's not fair for her.
Yeah.
But then he says, what does he say? He just asks if there's something going on between the two of them.
Yeah, he just says, "Is there something going on between you two?
Yeah, and she's like, "No."
You
And
spend a
then
lot of time together."
yeah, he's like, "I got a keen eye for these things," and she just
Yeah, yeah,
gives him like a, "You
yeah.
obviously
She
have
just
no
breaks out.
idea what you're saying." Yeah.
Yeah,
There's a little
which again is from the game. It's
yeah,
not from the scene in the game. It's from a different scene when they're walking together. But
right.
um, yeah, it's pretty funny too because she says it basically the same way. She's like, "I don't think you know quite as much as you
Yeah.
do." Like,
And there's a little birdsy and the bees chat here, where
Yeah.
she just tries to make it much more crass and provocative,
Yeah.
which obviously
Well, no,
makes a lot of
doesn't
sense.
she say like I promise not to get pregnant?
Something like that, yeah.
I think she said, yeah, I think I promised to not to get pregnant or something.
All right, let's get to my favorite scene here.
Yeah, get to it. Come on.
So we got some dinos. Big scene in the game too, where she finds or they stumble upon purposefully this giant T-Rex statue that is part of a museum exhibit, and she sprints up it pretty much as quick as she can. So this was kind of how it started in the game too.
Yep.
And in the special features, Neil Druckmann, who was the creator of this game, uh, sprinted up the dinosaur as quick as he could and did the same kind of
Hmm.
like pose as she did in like a extra credit scene. So it was cool that like this scene coming up meant a lot to him.
Oh,
So
for sure.
put a lot of effort into it, and that is the museum scene.
Yeah.
So they are going into a museum which happens to be space, but like she did she still have did she have an interest in space before the actual museum of space?
Yeah, she's always cared about it. It's
Right.
always been a thing that's on her radar and on her mind. But like it's again, I playing into the character, like it shows her like, hey, she's 16, but how many 16-year-olds are into dinosaurs in
I
space,
know.
right? Like it shows again how this world is so much different.
Yeah. Well, and
It's
then the
not like a
influences
modern
that
day
she probably
world
gets
with
from him too.
technology.
Yeah.
Oh, what was that?
And probably the influences she gets from him too, right? Because it's
Oh,
stuff
for
that
sure.
he
Like, I
cares
mean,
about.
what do you know? Again, like, what do you know if from you just know stuff from what's around you, and it could
Mhm.
be from him or it could be from other people. Um, but the main part of it is here is that yeah, like it's funny, like, a 16-year-old girl is really into dinosaurs and space, which is
Yeah.
a most 16-year-olds nowadays aren't into that kind of stuff.
Right.
So it is pretty funny. See, this is where the kids are at in this world.
And I think it's anything. Like I put in a bunch of circles and stuff here. Like first real time Ellie gets to be a kid, was kind of how I felt it because she is like blown away by this stuff. I'm sure she would have found things here and there in her post-apocalyptic life, but for everything to be in the state that it's in,
Yeah.
she wanders up to first she walks through a door that has looks like she's in space, and then comes through to this orbit planet giant.
Solar system.
What do you call it? What do you call that thing?
I don't know. It's a solar system thing with like the little arms that go around. You can like spin it,
Yeah,
and it like circles around the sun, kind of
yeah.
like fake our
It's like a
orbits
big
and our old
interactive
solar system.
thing, and she
Yeah,
spins it, and she's like, "Whoa, it works!" And he's like, "Weird, someone must have greased it." And like
yeah. He
it's
gives
such
you that
a
really like
yeah,
weird. Someone must have.
yeah, which is really that part made me smile. So that
Yeah,
was very cool. And it's the more they go through it, the more it just you see how much he's actually planned. Like this
yeah.
entire day has been planned. He's scouted out all the areas. Obviously cares an insane amount for her. And that's when they wander into the spaceship area. Bless you.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thank
Where again talks a bit about the spaceship and then basically says choose a helmet.
you. Yeah.
So I'll blast through it a little bit quicker here, but
Well, he just says
they
basically, yeah. He
yeah.
says, this is Apollo 15. Um, this one actually was in space.
Hmm.
Like it's been up there. You can go kind of do it. Yeah. And then he says, yeah, but then she's about to go in. He's like, well, you need a helmet.
Yeah.
And
Picks up a
then
rock.
yeah, he says basically go pick one.
Yeah.
Hands her a rock. There's a bunch behind glass cages, which is very cool.
Yeah. Breaks the one that well she has about 5 or 6 to pick from. Smashes
Yep.
the glass, picks it up. It smells like dust and something.
Yeah, that's right.
I don't know what she says, but
The goofy look she has when she puts that helmet on is hilarious.
dude,
Like
she looks
she is full. This is
goofy.
not the Ellie that we know in this season 2 so far, like at all. This is completely child version Ellie. This is
Yeah.
post the first game where all this the journey and the crap has happened, and now we're in this other world where she's kind of regaining her childhood.
Hmm.
She's not going out on these runs. She hasn't seen a ton of terrible things, so she's kind of slowly reverting back to like having a childhood. And you can kind of see this year and 2 months they've at this point that they've been there, she's very childish, and which is
Yeah.
great. It's goofy.
And man, this is a big part in the game. Like this is the part when they climb into that ship together that you just get like you as a player also get taken away from the post-apocalyptic world. And it comes in the moment where Joel gives her a cassette player to put in, or a cassette to put
Cassette
into her
tape.
cassette tape player.
Yeah.
Um, and it is a classic, like, Houston, we have liftoff. Here's a countdown.
Yeah,
And he kind of
it's
tells
the
her,
recording,
yeah,
the radio recording of
yeah.
it.
And he tells her, close your eyes
Yeah.
and, like, kind of live in that moment for a sec.
Mm.
Um, and then I think it went further in the game, but in the show, she closes her eyes and it takes her away. Like, she's getting the shaking body of the aircraft about to take off. She's
Yeah.
getting a lot of lights coming in through the windows and things like that.
Full imagination.
Yes. Am I crazy in the game that she looks out the window and she sees,
I
like I thought she
I'm
went
trying
to,
to
like,
remember if they
space
actually
base.
I can't remember if they actually looked out at all or if it was just focused on her the whole time. I can't remember.
Okay.
But a lot of the shaking and everything was in, yeah, I
Yeah,
remember all that stuff. I remember
which is
thinking
very
like,
cool.
"What's happening?" But yeah, definitely get to see this imagination.
Yeah. And then I think Joel at the end of it kind of says, "Did I do okay?" Uh, yeah, he
Yeah.
says, "Did I do okay?" And then she's like, "Are you kidding me? This is awesome," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Turns around or turns face up again. He's got a nice little tear rolling down. So, uh, a really sweet moment between those two.
Yeah.
And this is the part where I need your help because I don't get this part. So
Talk to me.
after she says, "Are you kidding me? You did a great job," they just kind of cut scene and they start walking back. As they're walking back, Joel's got a nice little smile on his face because he feels awesome. Ellie kind of
Yep.
looks off into the distance here, and I don't understand necessarily what she's doing here or what she's looking at.
She just saw a bunch of fireflies.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So obviously, again, right, because the fireflies it just reminded her of the fireflies.
Yes.
And this is kind of a
Okay, because it
symbolism
didn't
again
show it
that
in
like
that scene, but it shows it later that she saw fire. Oh, it pans to it.
no, it shows it here.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yep. Okay,
Yep.
pans to
No, it
fireflies.
shows it here, and she just basically says like it's just basically telling us like, oh, she still has unanswered questions, and
Right.
this is kind of the beginning point of like her questioning some of the things that she's gotten to this point. Like we just hit the apex, like the relationship is the strongest it's ever been.
Hmm.
Um, with this whole excursion and birthday thing, it's been awesome, but there's still these lingering questions
Stuff
and
creeping in.
problems that are above the surface
Yeah.
that will have to be dealt with.
Um. Yeah. Yeah.
And then we go what two? How many years later for that
Just
one?
one.
Another year
Yep.
later.
1 year later. Same kind of thing. We're sticking with the birthday theme. Joel's got chocolate this time, spelt the name right. Excuse me. And
Yeah, you can tell.
he,
You can tell Seth is getting better,
yeah, cake looked good.
and he's trying. I think I kind of I get from this is that I kind of like get this idea of like he's like trying to one up himself here because like as we
Fair.
learned 2 years ago, chocolate's really hard to find.
Hmm.
Um, and it's a lot harder, right? So it's interesting. It's chocolate. You're like, okay, he's trying. He's trying really hard. Who knows what he would have had to give to get a chocolate cake in this world?
Right.
So
Yeah, he's given
um,
up probably
he's
whatever
still
he
all
can
in.
for her. Um, he's then walking upstairs to surprise her, and hears some giggles and stuff from the other side of the doorway. And he's like, "What the deuce?" Comes in and it is Ellie and Haircut hanging out together. I don't know her name.
I can't remember her name either.
And he walks in on them obviously doing something, like they're kind of buttoning up their shirts a little bit, and
Oh yeah.
um yeah, she kind of asks, "What the heck are you doing here?" And he says, "Oh, I'm here to surprise your birthday." And this is where he's starting to get a little bit more pissy about it all.
Yeah.
Um the the way that they're talking to each other, I don't think has changed yet. Like, he still really likes her, but he's not approving of pretty much a lot of what she's doing.
Yeah.
He's like, "Ellie, you're ripping some drugs now. You're experimenting with girls," he says.
Yeah.
And then this giant tattoo that you have on your arm. Again, same tattoo area or sorry, same arm area that's covering up her bite from last year. So,
Yeah, she basically just says like he basically again like you're getting the teenage experience. So basically he
yeah.
walks in, there's drugs, there's she's doing everything defiance. She's not supposed to have people in their room. Uh, Again, the whole girl thing, basically saying you're experimenting. It was sexuality. She says, well, I there's no sex involved, and it wasn't
Hmm.
experimenting,
Yeah, she's just like,
right?
dude,
So
this is me kind of thing.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
basically, this is, and
he's
he
very
just
much
says you don't know what you're
sorry.
saying.
Yeah, he's very much trying to lay down the law, and you can see that she's kind of not kind of shifting from the quote unquote daughter that he wants her to be. So he's really trying to be like, I'm Joel and I'm the leader of this household kind of thing, which we'll
Yeah,
see them kind
but I
of
mean, she's also
flash
what,
towards
17
later.
at this point,
Yeah,
so
17. And
it's
I
a
made
bit
a yeah,
it'd be a
she's
bit of a shock.
yeah. And I made a note here as well. I said that she's not being mean at this point. Like there's no sassiness that she's usually giving in the later episodes that we see.
Mm.
She's just like, but I think it's the start of it because the next scene we have her trying to push her bed out of the middle of night, uh, as in she's moving out to the shed or the garage
Yep.
that we find her in at the start of season 2.
So we see her checking out the garage, and we
Mm-hmm.
see her go down there. It's raining outside, and we hear a bunch of thumps and stuff as it's in Joel's room, and he gets up, and yeah, you see her. She's trying to push everything out. He's basically saying like, he just basically says like, you want to have a conversation and things like that. Basically, you're not don't move out right now. Like it's raining outside. Um, Let me like fix up the
Yeah,
garage,
he's like, there's
basically.
also no heat in there, so chill out.
Yeah.
Um, but again, still no anger. He's trying to relate to her. This is when he asks about the drawings on the wall and her tattoo as well. But just kind of says, "What's with all the moth?" And then he's trying to relate and says, "Does this signify change and things like that?" He's like, "Because that makes sense. You're going through a lot of different stuff right now." Yeah, again, still no anger, just age gap in him trying to figure out who the heck she is and turning into.
Well, and Joel's trying to figure it out too. Obviously, like again, like he sees Sarah in her, right?
Mm-hmm.
Obviously his daughter from way back, and he kind of agrees here. He's like, "Oh, maybe," like he's trying to figure out how to keep her close. He's not trying to push her away.
Right.
And so he's just basically saying like, "Okay, maybe it's good that you have your own space.
Yeah.
I will help you with that." Which again, like I don't know, again, in a modern day if a kid wanted to move out to the garage or move out or something at 17, I don't think many parents would respond positively about that whole situation.
No. No.
So, but yeah, then he starts looking at the moss and everything like that, and kind of yeah, that's where they have the conversation about it.
Yeah, about the change or what he
Yeah,
thinks
because he
it is.
says and it's funny because he misses it. He misses the complete understanding of it, right?
Hmm.
Because he thinks it's a butterfly or something at first,
Yes, he
but
does
maybe we
think that.
learned
Yeah.
that yeah, he thinks it's a butterfly and that signifies change, or he thinks moth signifies change, but it's actually a butterfly because obviously the cocoon of the butterfly. Um, and doesn't realize that it's sort of that uh what it actually means is it means what's it mean? They
Death.
go over it. No, well he thinks it means death because he's told later by what's her name?
Yeah, he's
By
told in the
Gail.
next scene that Gale
Yeah, but it's
says
actually
the
not. They
moth
go
means
over it
death.
later. It's not death. It's
Yeah.
something else. Can't remember. It'll come to me.
And she has it written on her paper here that says you have a greater purpose. So she's
Yes,
very
purpose. Yeah,
yeah.
that's what it was. Sorry. Yeah.
And so honestly, I think I'll skip over this next scene a little bit with Gale. Like Joel basically goes and has a talk with Gale, asking about dreams and things like that. She's really not wanting to talk to him. She's trying to eat her breakfast and hang out. But
Interesting. She's still very much Gale before Eugene is
yes,
dead.
yeah,
I wasn't sure if like the
still
just the
treating him the
fact that
same
like
way.
Eugene died
Hmm.
was the reason why she was who she was, the character we've come to know. Like that she's very jaded and stuff. But no,
Right.
no, this is her.
Yeah.
This is her before that.
Yeah. And yeah, he just kind of says like she's like, if you believe in this stuff, dreams can mean this or this can signify this.
Yeah.
And then she mentions he asks about what the moth means, and she says it means death.
Yeah.
And then it's a very quick see you later, the next scene. Which whatever. I don't know if this really takes any sort of bearing. Like he might think about it a bit, but he's not thinking like Ellie's gonna go murder people or herself or anything like
No, no,
that
no.
based on that.
Nothing
So
crazy here.
no. Um, But we have a scene of Ellie just packing up her clothes and then moving into the garage permanently. And then we get a 2 year later
Yep.
cut.
Yeah. 2 years later, skip 2 birthdays. Or wait, 1 birthday.
Yeah. And this one feels pretty close. Well, not pretty close. Closer to
We're not
modern
there
day and
yet.
what we know of her and him. Uh, it starts off in a scene of her in the garage, and she is trying to figure out how she's going to talk to Joel because, as Permadirt had mentioned, there's still that very underlying issue of these fireflies and what actually happened. She's
Yeah.
gotten, I don't know how long it's been, what, 3.5 years to kind of think about it. And she's like,
Yeah.
dude, a lot of stuff doesn't add up. So she's asking, like, what happened actually at the hospital? If it was killed by raiders, how did we get out? And she's got a series of questions.
Yeah, serious questions. Basically, being like, she's been told there's more immune kids,
Mm-hmm.
and she says like, no, like no, there hasn't. If there was more immune kids, why don't we have a cure by now?
Yeah,
And why haven't I found any of them? Um, if the raiders were all killed, who killed them? Right? Because it had to be
right.
a group of people. It would just be um, a one or whatever. And yeah, she has some really good, really smart questions. You can tell she's been thinking about it. It's not just like um, a basic thing, like basic questions. Not like, what do you do, right?
Yeah, no, she's
She's
got
like,
them written down. She's ready to
the
go.
Fireflies spotted us from a mile away was the first thing she said. They spotted us a mile before we got there. So
Right.
how would a group of raiders get close enough to them to kill them all, right? Type thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is again, good question. It's a great question.
Yeah. Oodles of questions. And then she's interrupted by Joel knocking on the door. And he says, it's patrol time.
Yep. Basically,
You're
happy
19 years
birthday.
old.
I'm gonna take you on your first patrol.
Yep. And she's pretty psyched about it. Yeah, she's
Yeah.
psyched and ready to go. She's been waiting for a while for this one.
Been
Uh,
waiting for a while. Of course, it's dry and slow, right?
mhm.
This is like the tutorial right here. He's like, here we're not going. We went to literally the safest spot we could go. He's like, I knew that. I did it
Yeah,
on purpose.
yeah,
Like we're
yeah.
not gonna go find clickers or immediately and things like this. And of course, he gives her some binoculars, and she starts being really sassy with them.
Mhm.
Um, basically just like, oh look at how I found. Oh, she's like turning her head really fast back and forth and makes a joke about a big squirrel mounting or a small squirrel mounting a big squirrel.
Uh-huh. Ooh. And you can tell, like, obviously this is more the Ellie that we're used to, and it's just because, like, she's probably just getting to the point where she's sick of being babied for how much of the stuff they went through together. Like, Jackson, I'm sure once they find a normal life in there, would feel very boring after coming from what they came from. And she's probably just kind of, yeah, she's always been a little stir crazy with it. Um,
Yeah.
and yeah, Joel's trying to connect with her throughout this scene, and he's like, "We should do more of this more often, so you can see that they've been a little bit more distant recently."
Yeah.
And then she's just being very obviously reserved as they're talking, where she's not as psyched about it as she was a couple years ago, things like that.
Yeah.
And then we get a radio call,
Oh yeah.
calling for backup, and then he kind of tells her to go back, and this is where she gets pissed off, and she's like, "I'm not your kid." Yeah, she's like, "I'm not your kid, I'm your partner," which shows the dynamic and how they see each other, which is different from one another.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Shoot, I'm moving my head around too much here. Where am I?
No,
Okay.
you're good.
Uh, and I think I mentioned something here, like that seems to be the main theme in her life at this moment is Joel trying to still protect her, and her thinking, "I don't need protection. I
Yeah.
want to be my own 19-year-old
Yeah,
lady."
she's trying to make the next step in life. She sees all her friends doing it. Jesse's doing it, which obviously she's buddies with him to a certain extent, right? Like she wants to be like him. And her friends are probably also getting different jobs, but of course
Hmm.
because of Joel and the protection, she's just not getting the same experiences everyone else is getting. So I'm sure she's getting a little crazy in town at this point because there's not much else to do.
Well,
Um
and he can
so yeah,
control whatever she does, right? Because
yeah,
he and Tommy, well, Tommy is, I guess, the leader-ish, but
kind
it's
of.
obviously his brother, so he kind of just tells Tommy what to do because he's his little brother, and he listens to him. So,
Yep. Yep.
um, then they scale a mountain, man. That is a steep, mossy cliff that you are climbing down to get
Yeah,
to where you
it's
need to
got some
go.
It's got some height to it.
But as they get there, they wander by a clicker that has been kapowed,
Yep.
and then they find Mr. Eugene. First time we see him.
Just before you get there too, they also have a scene quickly where he says like, "You know what we do here?" And he's like, "Yeah,
Oh
you
yeah,
got your
yeah.
back, I got yours." So you can still see like they're very well trained. They still do have this kind of they're just naturals at this sort of thing.
Yes.
'Cause she knew right away, right? This is our first day out there and she knew everything. Yeah, and you see Adam, who's the other person on the call, go ripping by on a horse,
Oh,
getting
yeah.
dragged.
Forget about that. Yeah.
Um, and then they sneak, and then you can see like Ellie at this point has like a big shock on her eyes. She's like, "Whoa!" Like
Yeah, she's rattled.
again, you forget that like this is not the Ellie we know from season 2,
Hmm.
where she's seen abundance of crap. I mean, she's seen crap already, but this was like you can tell it's eye opening. She's been kind of
Well, and probably the first
uh,
time in a while, right? Because it's
yeah,
been
first time in a long time in what 3 years or
3
whatever,
years.
like a
Yeah.
clicker, same thing. Um, yeah, and then eventually that's when they come up on Eugene.
Yeah. Eugene mentally fine, physically not so fine. So I guess Joel asks if he's been bit, and then eventually he says yes after a little while. Joel's very quick to tell Ellie, like, don't go too close to him until we find out what's going on, kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah, he's got a good chomp right in the side of his
right inside the rib cage.
side. Yeah. Um, and then this next part here I find is weird. So Joel's asking questions, trying to figure out like what how much time he's got left, kind of thing. Eugene is being like, dude, let's go back. I want to see my wife before the inevitable happens.
Yeah,
Joel's like, I'm not taking you back. He's like, we have rules.
yeah.
I'm pretty much supposed to clicky clack you right here. There's a bit of a back and forth, and then Ellie does this weird thing where she's like, stick with your hand and count to 10,
It was quickly before that too. Like,
where he pulls
um,
the gun on
yeah,
him.
he pulls a gun back on him. So yeah, Eugene, you can tell is very obviously upset because he knows he's gonna die. The writing's on
Yeah.
the wall. And he just wants to go talk to Gail one last time before he gets killed.
Yes.
Um, and they basically say, because of course Joel being he's a rule follower, he's not taking a chance here. He says, "Nope, you're not getting that chance. We're done here." And he's like, "No, like let me like," and then so he pulls the gun on him, but
Mhm.
he's out of bullets,
It's very
of
obviously
course. And he's like,
empty.
"Oh,
You can see what
yeah,
how the gun is. I don't know what the gun does, but it looks empty.
yeah, the chamber's back. There's no more bullets left in there, right? You have a clip." And so you can all visually see it. And yeah, then this is where Ellie says basically, "Oh, let's see what you got. Like count to 10, hold your hand out. It's not shaking or anything. It's all good." Um, yeah,
Yeah, and I guess I said weird test to see how much time he has left. Um, but whatever, right? I guess
yeah.
she
I
knows
mean,
something.
maybe there is something to it. I don't know. Maybe like
Yeah,
they're having a hard time or the mind starts going.
yeah.
Um, who
Well, then
knows?
she convinces him. She's like, Joel, take him back to see his wife. Like,
Yeah,
why are you being such a donkey about this?
yeah.
And then there's a moment where he tells her to like go get the horses, bring them back to us, and she walks past him, but kind of freezes because there's a part of her that doesn't trust him, and whether it's coming back from the fireflies and her thinking he hasn't told her the full truth,
Yep.
he's just like she gives him a look without actually saying anything, being like, I need more reassurance, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. She knows Joel well enough that like that this could be a lying situation,
yeah. And so
right?
she scampers off to get some horses, and then Joel starts to lead Eugene to a spot where they're going to rendezvous with the horses.
What we assume would be the place where they were going to rendezvous with horses.
Yes. And here's the part that I found interesting. So Eugene is wandering, Joel's following.
Yeah.
Eugene doesn't know where to go, maybe.
Yeah, he's not sure what's going on
He's
there.
talking a bit about the cordyceps making him feel cold and things like that. So
Yeah, he kind of makes the thing like, "Oh, I
yeah.
never expected it to be cold."
So, and here's my question I've got for you here is when Eugene doesn't know where to go and Joel says left or right,
Yeah.
and his voice kind of cracks when he says head right. Is this the moment where it's a choice in the road and heading right was Joel's choice, he's going to murder him, and was left where he was actually supposed to go?
I'm
Like,
going to yeah, I don't know. I don't know for sure. I assume so. Yeah, I don't know why they don't um I don't know why he doesn't know. Do you
because
think he'd know how to get back?
I think Joel is going to kill him the whole time.
Oh, for sure. I think Joel has his mind made up before they even start walking.
Yeah,
But
so I
maybe he
feel like
also I could see him maybe this is part of it being like, "Oh, man, he already doesn't remember how he got here. Like,
well, that
this
was
is
kind of my
we're
thought
never
too.
gonna make it back." Like,
Right.
maybe that's part of it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I thought, but because when he says head right, it does sound a wee bit reluctant.
Yeah.
But I
Well, he
think
looks down kind of like he knows what he's
yeah,
doing.
but I think at the same time, by him saying head right, he's like, okay, right is where I'm gonna shoot him because I know where that leads. Because like you said, it's the
Yeah.
safest run they go on all the time. He knows the
Yeah.
area, so I think it's and maybe left would have done nothing either. But I think that by him telling him where to go, it's also choosing his fate as well. So my thoughts.
Yep. Yeah, it is interesting once they get to the lake though. Once they get to the lake, I don't know. It's again, you sympathize with Eugene here, obviously,
Oh
um,
man, do ya?
because you feel bad for him, and because and I mean, and Joel misunderstands the whole situation again as well. Like he kind of thinks he's like, just tell me the words that you want to tell Gail. I'll tell Gail. And he's like, I don't want to tell her anything. I want to hear her tell me. Like I
Yeah,
need that before
yeah.
I go, which is like,
He's like,
oh
this is about me saying goodbye to my wife. This is about my wife
yeah,
helping me get through this kind of thing.
yeah,
And
exactly. Like
I agree
he's
with you.
basically
Like,
just saying, I need to see her face. I need to see like I don't need to hand you words. I want to
mhm,
see what she has to say to me.
yeah, and you can see that Joel just is. This isn't something that he's relating with.
No,
Uh,
he's business as usual.
yeah, and then I think kind of says like, I remember the line, but it says something along the lines of like, you need to picture her or something like that. Like,
Yeah,
you shouldn't have to see her. Like, you should always be able to see her when she's not with you, kind of
that's right.
thing.
If you love someone, you'll always be able to see them.
That's what it was. Yeah. And yeah, then it kind of pans out. Eugene says like he takes off his glasses, he sits there for a bit, and then he's like, I can see her now. Like I can, yeah. Basically says he can see her in his mind, and then that's
Yeah.
when it kind of cuts out. Uh, no gunshot, which I like.
I was gonna say I liked how they did that with just the birds flying
Yep,
away. Like,
birds just fly
okay, I
away.
like you know what's going on without
It being
knowing
fake.
exactly what's
Yeah,
going on.
so I liked that. I thought that was cool, artsy. Frick, what a beautiful place, man. Like
Yeah.
these shots they get, and it's like they're not fake. Like these are
No, yeah.
stunning shots. Um,
Yeah. Canada.
so could be worse places to
Great.
get shot in the back of the head, I guess.
Yep.
Um, Ellie comes wandering back.
Yeah. Ellie's got the horses, comes rolling in.
She's like, "Dude, what the heck?" Looking at Eugene, not happy about it. I don't know if Joel says anything to her here. I don't think he does.
I think it's quiet. You just
I
see
think
a
it's like
really
sorry,
shocked
kid, or
look
something
on her
like
face.
that.
She just
Yeah.
can't believe what happened. She's like, we promise.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. 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 Uh,
And then reminiscent of Joel getting dragged back, there you put him on a
I
sled and away
know.
they go.
Put on a sled. The bloody head. Everything's pretty darn similar. And then we get back to old Gale.
Well, not yet. They have the talk first.
What talk?
They have the talk. So they're on horses and they're going back, and he basically just says, I'm going to radio ahead
Oh
and
yeah, yeah. Right, right.
kind of
Sorry.
prepare Gail for what's going on here. And we're going to tell her basically what she needs to know and nothing more.
Right.
Like, he's just like, you know what? She's going to be distraught enough over this. She doesn't need to know exactly how this went down and what he was asking. Basically says it's the right thing to do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and Ellie's not talking. She's just right in the face. Um, she cannot believe what she saw, his lie. He says, I had no choice. And again, she says nothing. And she has this very stone look face going
Mm-hmm.
on. Like a parent has like you just found out a deep dark secret about a parent or something. Like I
Yeah.
don't know what it is, but it's this such a cold shoulder.
Yep.
Yeah, then we go to the Gale scene.
And yeah, Joel kind of goes through what they talked about. He gives Eugene in quotes like a hero's end kind of thing.
Yeah, it paints a nice
Uh,
picture for her in the final moments,
yeah,
for her, right? It just says like
and it
makes her obviously what you want to hear, right? In
yeah,
your final words.
and it would have been fine. Like it could have been left at that. Uh, you can see Ellie just kind of sitting in the background, obviously just quiet listening to all that. And then she kind of calls Joel out. She's like, "That's not what happened."
Which
Which
again is the worst thing that could have happened.
yeah, you go
Like,
from Gail because Gail's now just like she's just in the crosshairs of this anger that she has for Joel because she's sick of him lying.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, Gail then slaps him and says, "Kind of get away from
yeah.
Eugene," and things like that. Uh,
But again, the
Ellie
the
does
the
say the
worst way
whole
the worst
story.
way this could have gone down, because basically he gave the story that again made Eugene sound very noble, like he ended it himself. He said he loved you, blah blah
Yeah,
blah, like all the stuff you want to hear.
yeah.
He's fine. She's giving him a hug and everything, and then that's when she basically says he's lying. And again, like I don't know. You can take this multiple different ways as why Ellie would do this. So one, you could do it because again he just straight up lied, and
Mm,
maybe she doesn't like that. Um, or two, she's pissed off because she thinks is maybe another lie in a series of lies that she's been telling him the whole time,
ooh, and I
and
can tell you why.
this whole white lie situation that she thinks she's caught up as well in. Maybe she's sick of it. Um,
My
yeah,
pendant.
I don't know, but it's or it could just be her immaturity, right? Maybe she thinks honestly like, oh, she needs to know. And then sometimes, in these situations, you don't need to know the details,
Yeah.
right? And sometimes we don't tell people in a lot of facets of modern day life, we don't tell people all the details because it doesn't help,
Hmm.
right? Um, you know,
Um, yeah. There's one thing that she said here, and I got this from the special features part of it. I don't know if it's called that anymore. But
yeah,
as she's running away from Joel after he's looking very perplexed, he's like, "What the heck? Why would you do that?"
yeah,
She said, "You swore,"
yeah,
and he did not. The last time she said "swear to me"
yeah,
was at Salt Lake City after the hospital scene,
yeah,
where she said, "Tell me there's nothing else that happened, and this is the truth," or "Swear to me," and he says, "I
yeah,
swear." Whereas when he said it at this point, he told her, "I promise." So by her choosing the words "you swore" rather than "you promise" means that she's thinking hard about how season one ended and that she thinks it's been a lie the whole time.
yeah.
So cool little thing there
Yeah.
from Mr. Druckmann.
Then
Um, nine
9
months
months
later,
later,
last one. Cut to the dancing. Uh,
we're back to New Year's Eve where it all popped off.
it's different perspective, same scene. So we got Joel's
Yep.
perspective. He is hanging out with Tommy and Maria and
Yeah.
nephew. Can't remember the kid's name.
I can't remember
Um,
the kids.
basically, nothing really happening here. Maria's thanking, or Tommy's basically hanging out with the kid. Kid's getting tired. Uh, the kid leaves to go to bed with Tommy, and then we just got Maria and Joel left. Maria's just kind of thanking him, right? Saying, "You done good. We appreciate you."
Yeah, yeah, Uncle Grumpy and stuff. They say
Yeah,
goodnight, and then basically, Maria and him have this conversation of
yeah,
basically saying family's family.
yeah,
We'll always look after you and things like that. Like you're kind of accepting them into their family as well, which I
yeah,
guess is probably what he wants to with Ellie, but it's not going well.
yeah. He's looking at her the whole time. She's in his point of view. As she's starting to dance, Adina gets the smoochie, and then we have the interjection with Seth coming in and being
Yep.
mean to them again. Nothing new here until the deck scene, right? Nothing changes. Just as
No,
we're
yeah, you
going with
basically get the same
you.
scene. He pushes
Walks
him
away.
down. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure. I still can't like we had the whole Seth thing, like I said earlier, where he, they have a good relationship. He throws him to the ground. I still can't figure out why Seth is so does this
Mm,
in this scene, you know?
mm,
Um, but I don't know. I'm probably reading too much into it, but it's one of those things where again, it just feels like everything we've learned about him to this point, other than him being, you know, that guy, like the looks, the white cop dude. I said, I don't know, like it doesn't make much sense to me.
that's
So
fair.
I thought maybe too, maybe Seth kind of again not being in the day to day with Ellie, and it's like, oh good, I make birthday cakes for this girl and stuff, and maybe for some reason he felt betrayed or something because she's a lesbian or something. I don't know. It's
Yeah,
kind of weird. I was just thinking about. I'm like I don't get unless
very.
he's just drunk out of his mind and acting weird, which could be too. Um, but
Well,
yeah,
he's got like
interesting
this
scene.
the stunned sort of look. Like when he gets pushed over, he's like eyes wide, and he's like, "What happened to me?" kind of thing.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, Joel also blindsided him and knocked him over. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm not sure about that one.
yeah,
Uh, we go to the deck. Joel is right where we left him in episode one.
yeah.
Ellie does the same thing, wanders up to him, looks at him, head down, walks past him,
I
but
called it. This is what I
comes
called weeks ago.
back.
It's exactly what I called weeks ago, boys.
But she
Go ahead and check
comes
the tape.
back.
Did you check the tape? Check the tape.
Mhm.
Check it. That's why I said this is where the coffee beans come in because we never saw anything about the coffee beans before they go and
Right.
visit the grave. And I said, I guarantee you, she walks by, she comes back, and this is where we get the coffee scene. It's in a different location in the game, but I'm guarantee you this is where we get the coffee scene because this is the last time we see them
Mm,
together before, um, obviously the untimely end of Joel. So,
right.
um, I knew this is where it was going to happen. I'm just going to point it out. 20,000 points for me. The rest for zero for the rest of you guys. Okay, go.
Fair. Uh, in the game, this happens like this, right? Like there's she walks she like actually she's walk like this scene takes place in the game as it does here, right? There's
It takes
no
place. I don't think it happens right here though.
okay.
I'm trying to remember. I think it might happen in several different flashbacks. You get
Okay.
pieces
I
and
wasn't
stuff.
sure if there's
I can't
flashbacks
remember exactly.
but
Don't quote me on that one.
anyways, she comes up to the deck
Yep.
and they start to have a bit of a chit chat.
Yep.
Um it starts off pretty reserved, like they're not
It's a
really
basic
used
stuff right from the
to
game, where he whips out this coffee mug and she has no
mhm,
idea what coffee is, and he basically just says, "Oh, there's some people that came through a couple weeks ago," which again shows they're still interacting with like traders and
yeah,
people in the area, not traitors, but traders, people who trade stuff.
yeah,
That they're interacting with them and trading and stuff with them, and he kind of has this joke again, like they do in the game, where he says, "These people had coffee beans. I'm pretty not proud about what I
yeah.
had to trade to get
Embarrassed
them."
to
Meaning,
say
like,
what
there's
yeah,
probably none left. It's not
yeah,
you don't get these in North America, like they're grown in Colombia and like they're all over southern hot tropic areas. They're not getting coffee up here. And
right.
yeah.
Yeah,
It
and
was
then
funny.
first thing he says is like, "So you and Dina." So all man, all he's trying to do is make a connection with her. Like he's not trying to rock any boats. He's not trying to bring up any bad shit that happened with them. All he wants to do is be like, talk about you. I want to learn about you.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, because they've been talking.
yeah. And he's like, so you and Dina, and then she just kind of says, I had Seth under control. Well, he talks a bit
Before
more
all
about Dina and says, is she your girlfriend?
yeah.
And then
Before they started doing that too, they were kind of setting ground rules as well. I don't know if you mentioned that. Um where she says, "Don't ever take me off of patrol again." Um this is Ellie to Joel. "Don't ever take me off of patrol again." And and basically says, what else said? Oh, I could have handled the Seth situation again too. She says basically, "Don't help me. I don't need your help, and don't ever take me off of patrol ever again." Because this is
right.
remember if you go back to the first episode, Jesse comes in and says you've been removed from patrol when she's doing the wrestling scene, like literally the first
Yeah,
thing,
yeah, yeah.
because he had pulled her off of it. Um, so again, she's setting the rules here. Like this is role reversal, right? Again, parents don't get spoke to this way.
Mm.
I don't know if Ellie realizes that or if Ellie cares, but at this point, it's just yeah, she's setting the boundaries, and then yeah, then we get the asking about Dina stuff.
Yeah. And it's yeah, it's all the same theme where she doesn't want to be protected by him and he just wants to protect her. He wants her to be his baby girl. And that comes from the whole Seth thing.
Yep.
I'm just trying to see if there's a she calls him
Yeah, no, just basically talking about Dina. Do you like her? Why? And then she says, "I don't know why you kissed me, or I don't know why she kissed me or ever," and sort of all these things, and saying, "Oh, I'm so stupid," and
and then she just comes out with it and says he lied to her. Like
uh,
I was trying to find
not
the conversation in between. There isn't one really. Like it goes pretty quick to you're a jerk.
well, no, they're talking. he's trying to get to know about Dina, right? They're still talking about
Yeah.
the Dina thing. He's
Still
still
talking
trying to
about Dina.
connect. He
Yeah.
says like she'd be great. She'd be a great thing for you. She's a very nice girl. He's saying very supportive
Yeah,
things.
she'd be very lucky
Um,
to have you kinda
she'd be
thing.
very lucky to have you. Like, because again, I don't know if Ellie just doesn't care or what the deal is, but she's just basically saying like I don't understand why Dina did it. I don't really care why Dina did it.
Mhm.
That's not on my mind right now. And that's kind of what Joel did. And she basically says like you're an a hole,
Yep.
just out of the middle of nowhere. She's like you're
Yep.
basically um, yeah,
Yeah, and then he's looking at her with some sympathetic eyes, and then she says,
yeah,
"You lied to me."
yeah. Yeah, you lied to me. You had the exact same face. You made the
Yeah.
exact same face. Like
That
you said the
Salt Lake
exact same
City
thing.
has the same yeah, Salt Lake City was the exact same as what you said
Yeah,
to me the other day, the same tone, the same look.
yeah.
She's
And
like,
she says too, like in this conversation, she says, "I knew the whole time."
"Yeah."
She's like, "I know." She's like, "I know the actual answers I think I'm going to get from these questions, but I'm basically going to give you one last chance to tell me the truth
Mhm.
about that day."
Yeah.
Um,
Man, what a well-acted scene. This one was
yeah, yeah.
good. Like, you can just
It's a good one in
see
the games too. It's crazy. They have these flashbacks in the game are so good.
like, you can just see with every question she asks him, it is just tearing him apart more and more,
Yeah, it's
and,
just
like
ripping his gut out.
yeah, like, she
Yeah.
says, "We're the Raiders," he's, like, shaking his head, and then when she gets into the, "Could they have made a cure? Did that mean that I would die?" and all this stuff, like, then he's,
That's the
like,
one thing
ripped apart.
I wish he would have said cuz I thought and maybe it's just in the games, I don't remember. I don't know if they mentioned in the show, but in the games they certainly do where they're like it's not a guarantee
Right, yeah, no,
that there's going to be a cure.
and this was
Um
no there was no ifs, ands, or buts that she could have a cure, or she would have been a cure.
did did they say that in the I can't remember if they said that in season 1 or not. I don't remember,
I don't
but I
remember.
remember in the games they're saying it's not a for sure thing,
Right.
but it will kill her, and I think that was part for me as a character. I don't know if obviously what his motives were for me playing this character. That's part of like the motives for me that helped justify. I was like, oh, so we're gonna kill this girl that's basically
Right.
my daughter at this point for a chance, not even a guarantee, a
Yeah,
chance that there
potential.
might be um a vaccine or a cure to this whole pandemic.
Yeah, and then she said, "Would it have killed me?" And he's like, "Yeah." And then she says, "Then I was supposed to die." Like, she's like, "That was my purpose, hence the moths." Like, that
Yep.
was her greater purpose, was to save people, in her eyes, and it is again Joel taking the ability for her to choose and him making the choice for her. That is the theme of this whole episode. Like,
Yeah.
oh, man, it was so good.
Yeah, it is it's very yeah, it is one of those things again too. You see the immaturity between Ellie and him. Like again, he's making decisions based on kind of what he knows and trying to do the best he can. And it's kind of naive of her too to also think like that was her purpose, right? She's
Right.
at this point she's what 19 years old and I think
Now
right?
she's yeah, yep.
Yeah, now she's 19 years old. That she thinks that that's supposed to be her purpose.
Mhm.
You don't know that for sure, right? And that's kind of what he said. Like, um, you don't exactly know your purpose, and we see later on in the show and the life that she develops or doesn't, or all these things that are going to come up. That there's more to life than just what she knows so far.
Mhm.
And I think part of that, because part of the things she also screamed at him is that my life would have mattered. So
Yeah.
maybe she thinks at this point her life doesn't matter. It doesn't mean anything. Um, which again I would disagree with because as that's someone who's that young, you don't really know anything about your life.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, she's so
so it is interesting. You see someone again. This is the human experience. There's someone who's lived a long time and through this pandemic and done everything and seen it, who kind of has a little bit more experience versus someone who's just trying to find purpose and trying to fit in this world and isn't necessarily loving the experience that she's got so far.
yeah.
And basically, yeah, she's calling him selfish and everything. They're going back
Mhm.
and forth. Again, it's very gut wrenching scene,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because this is like a child just basically saying like I hate you, which
Mhm.
I think again would just kill any parent inside.
Yeah. Yeah, he talks about paying the price, which is the name of the
Yeah,
episode. because he talks about the fact that she's going to turn away from him and kind of rebel against him, kind of thing. Not,
Yep.
but just yeah, not have a relationship.
Yeah. Basically says he did this whole thing. And says if he had a second chance, he would do it the exact same again. Like
Yep.
he understands you're upset by this, but he would do the exact same thing again because he loves her. Um, and he said, and then this is when he gets into the whole speech that his dad gave him, which
Yeah,
again draws this perfect sort of round circle from
which
how
was
he was, how
very nice.
his grandfather, his dad, and him have all been kind of. You're seeing this sort of cyclical thing.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I hope you do a
yeah,
little better than me.
yeah, basically says like if you're ever lucky enough to have a kid of your own, and maybe you never will, because obviously he's not sure at this point. Which again, now we know this conversation happened, and we know now that a couple episodes we have that funny moment where she says, "I'm going to be a dad,"
Hmm.
right? And so again, we can see it's like it's coming full circle. He's like, you don't know if you're going to be a father and whatever else, and
Right.
um, but you're going to understand there's things you're going to do that you know basically that don't always make the most logical sense because you love the other person. And yeah, like exactly like you said, it says, but if you do, try and be a little better than me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, which
And
is again, she has no idea. She has no
right.
idea because
Yeah, he's relating and
um
he's like, you wouldn't have any idea because you're not, you don't see people like a parental figure the way I see you, kind of thing. Like
yeah,
he's like
exactly.
saying you don't understand the love that I have.
Yeah,
And then she kind of ends off her little line with, "I don't think I can forgive you about this or from this," but she's like, "But I would like to try."
yeah, which is very nice again too. Like that's always like it's a little glimmer of hope.
Hmm.
You can see he snaps back at her at that point, being like, "It's not all over. Like,
Right.
don't think it's over." Which again is very sweet, but we know the story and how it goes from here. That
That's their final conversation.
yeah, and then we just get a short little scene here at the end where she's going back
Yeah,
to the
her walking
cinema.
back into the cinema, which,
Oh my gosh, bro, the things are just gonna go crazy from here.
well, we've only got one more,
We
right?
got one more,
So
and this is exactly where I thought they were gonna end this season.
with her
So
walking
this
back
is
or one step further?
no, this the next thing after this, like the
Okay.
last episode. This is exactly where if I would have guessed, this is exactly where they were gonna end this. Um, because it just makes the most sense.
Mm.
It makes the most sense, and I think it'll be the I'm hoping it'll. But again, I don't know how everyone's gonna respond to the end of this. If I
I
think of how people respond to other parts of this, I don't know how people are gonna respond to this that don't know what's coming. So
and
yeah,
I also don't. I won't say anything.
yeah. So very interesting. Going back to the cinema. So now we got Nora dead, and that's it. We know Tommy's somewhere. So let's recap everything. Tommy's somewhere in the city. We don't know where
Uh,
Tommy is, but he's somewhere out there.
yes.
Him and Jesse, split up when they got into town, so we don't know where they are.
Uh-huh.
Um, Dina's at the cinema,
With her
and
frozen leg.
Jesse and Dina, sorry, are at the cinema. That's where they said they were going to go, I believe, right? In the
Yeah.
show?
Yeah.
I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, he was taking her
Okay,
back to the cinema.
taking her back because she got an arrow to the knee. And yeah, that's basically all we know at this point. So yeah, it's about to get crazy.
Yeah.
Um, okay. What did we feel about this episode?
Um, I think I liked it more than I thought I would because I didn't, like I said, I was expecting a one-off episode and I
Yeah.
didn't get that, which is good.
So
Um,
again, going back to what you kind of started off this whole thing as, this
mm,
whole podcaster um thing as here. What you said, oh, I hate one-offs, and I know you also said, oh, I hate flashback
I do.
episodes.
I do.
And I don't think you're alone in that. I personally same way. Now, they've done a couple of these, right? They've done the offshoots in this show and they've done them really well. Right? We got the Bill, we got some flashbacks within episodes that I've thoroughly liked. And this was no different. I mean, but this was straight from the game basically too. Um
Right, all
you
these
have this
moments happened, so it's still giving the people who played the game stuff.
yep. Yep.
The Bill episode I loved just because I think it was written really well. I hated the
Yep.
Ellie episode. I hated her
Oh,
childhood,
the
like,
where
loved
she
one.
shows up when she went to school and stuff
It
like that.
was so crappy. I hated that one.
That was the one with no, that was the because that was the DLC.
Yeah.
for the
Yeah.
first one, and I like that. I like that because again, that I mean, yeah, you're right. Parts of it was a little bit boring, but like I really remember liking that.
But
Because
this
again, I
one
played it, so
didn't
I wanted to see.
like this one still had everything. Like it still had all the
Yep,
characters. It
it had the gut
wasn't
wrenchers.
going that far back.
Yeah,
Um, and it built up their relationship to what we saw it was. Because again, we were pretty in the dark as to why they hated each other so much. We kind of
yeah,
assumed it was all the resentment from the Salt Lake stuff,
yep,
but didn't know kind of how it got there.
yep.
And I'm fine with them delivering it as an episode. I just think it's ooh, hmm. No, I don't think it's too much. I was gonna say I don't know if I need a flashback episode with only 8 episodes, but
Yeah.
given where we're trying to end it with everything, I think it still works out great.
Yeah, like that's the thing too. Polka and I had talked about this last time as well. And I know I've mentioned it along the line, but with such a short season, episodic wise, and how breakneck speed, especially the last episode felt to me.
Hmm.
Last one, again, one of the things, the complaints and kind of partially what leaned into the score I gave it was I felt like we were moving way too quick. I
Right.
felt like at this point, I'm like, now things are starting to feel a little disjointed and funky to the point it's taking me out, right? Like my biggest two things were like suddenly it's daylight, it's nighttime, we're traveling large places and nothing's happening. We're suddenly showing up and going under this little hole near the hospital, and we're behind Nora, like we're just spawning in here. Um, Jesse just randomly showing up at the like. There's a lot of things. It feels like for time's sake that they're pumping through real quick here,
Yeah.
and I don't think we need that. You can end this where you want to. You can do it how you want. I know you don't want to spend 3 seasons on a second game. And I get that aspect of it, right? Even some fans might be upset by that. But I felt like, oh, even if you get a 9 episode season, um, I don't mind this in a 9 episode season. I really don't. It's still a very good episode. I enjoyed it. I had a great time watching it. I just don't know if it is important. If I know what's coming up next and they don't change anything, I
Mhm.
don't see how it's important that we see this now before the final episode. You know what I mean? There's nothing that I can remember
Right.
that from that leans into this because I'm trying to remember and I don't think I don't remember where we have this point in the game if it was in that spot right after you kill Nora if you have the flashback. I can't remember if it is. It might be. But it just feels like it's slowing things down a lot,
Right.
right? Normally if it's in the first third of a season, you're like, okay, if it's in the middle of the season, whatever. But I feel like your last two or three, that's where things always kind of ramp up to where they're going. And it feels weird to me in the second last episode to have this there.
It's a little mojo killer.
I feel it's a momentum killer. You know what I mean? Like if I'm
Yep.
putting like a word on, like for me, it felt like a momentum killer. And again, I love this episode. I had no problem with it. I thought they acted the crap out of it. I thought they did a great job. Like it's great to see Pedro again and all these things. But I was just like, man,
Think they
like do
placed
we?
it in the wrong spot.
Yeah, we could have had this flashback anywhere. We could have put it anywhere. We could have put
Right.
it, in a moment of struggle in the next season, or we could have we could just put it anywhere. And,
Yeah.
I don't think it needed to be the
Well,
second last episode,
I
in my opinion.
wonder, without saying or trying to say anything, I wonder if it would have had more of an impact in season 3.
Could have been. You still could have shot it and everything, just kept it in your back pocket and put it
Uh-huh.
in season 3, right? Like, I don't know. To me, it's just a bit funny. Not funny, a bit, and that's not the right word, but, like, it just felt like a bit of a, the brakes were on.
Well, especially when you have 4 and 5 that they're in Seattle. They
Yeah.
are like 4 was real. I think I really liked 4, didn't I?
Which one was 4 again?
4 was like the first
Seattle?
time
That's
in Seattle.
yeah.
That's where you have like the intense zombie fighting scenes, not zombie.
Yep.
The intense fight scenes there in the subway and stuff.
Mhm.
Like that was a really good scene. I really like that episode. And then 5
Yeah.
started off slow, but still have more of the intensities at the end with Nora. Um I will say I feel like we've been introduced to too many characters without getting any updates on them.
Hmm.
Like we have
Like which
Isaac.
characters? Okay, so you need more of Isaac now?
I don't know if I need more of them. I just don't know if I think we've introduced too many without showing them enough. So like between Isaac, between Abby and the rest of her crew. I know her rest of her crew doesn't matter that much, but Abby matters, and we haven't seen her since episode 2.
Well, again,
Uh,
and that's the thing too. Like that's just a yeah. Finish your thought. Finish your thought before I
and then the
interrupt.
last one is that uh, hardcore army lady who was interviewing that one officer about the cordyceps being airborne. So like she seems like a fairly well, she has a part. Uh, and it's interesting to introduce her, but then we're not getting shown anymore again. So it's really three characters that are between Isaac and Abby, especially, are two pretty big characters that are in the game that we haven't had to feel anything for in a while.
Mm.
Like Isaac got one episode, Abby got an episode. So yeah, I just think that that's interesting because if she encounters them again, it's like we know who they are, but
Yeah.
if there is a clash or if there's a conversation or anything, I don't know if it's going to have as much of an impact had you not
Mm.
tried to build them up maybe a little bit more, or at least shown glimpses of them.
Yeah, and I do
We haven't
think
seen them.
that is the uh, uh, we don't get a lot of that in the first half of the game.
No.
Um, it's normally in the second half where we got to see everything about the crew that Abby rolls with. Um, so it makes sense. They're following the game here. We don't really know much about them. All we know is we hate them. They're
Hmm.
awful. Which again helps fuel that sort of vengeance that Ellie sees and the character as you're playing them, right? That's part of like, oh my goodness, these guys killed like our beloved character. We are gonna go up on this mission and kill him. I remember playing the game being like, oh, I can't wait to massacre these people. Like if the streams are still up there, be like, it would be like, I just can't wait to cook these individuals. Like I'm so pissed off at them. And then again, as you go through the process, I mean, it is what it is. But like, it makes sense with the games that we haven't got some knowledge. Isaac's the same way in the game. You don't you this is basically all you see. You see what he is. They've actually
Yeah.
given us more, I would think, in the show so far because they gave him an origin story
Right.
in the game. We don't get any origin story in Isaac. We just know him as the guy who runs
Yeah.
the WLF, and he is
And you normally
gun
don't
like
get
he
that
is
in games.
angry.
Like I feel like games you don't get to you can't have as many like cutbacks or like here's this scene of showing it off. Like it just doesn't happen in games the same way. But
No, like especially well, it's tough because he's not like a controlled character, right? You can only
no.
kind of have memories of people that you're controlling. I guess if you're not trying to lose immersion. Um,
But if you wouldn't play the game because you obviously know where it's going and why they're doing the certain choices that they do,
yeah.
would like do you believe enough of the story? Like do you believe that Ellie's revenge tale is still a thing or have they not done a good enough job of kind of stoking that fire? Like here's why you're pissed off again. Don't forget that. Cuz
Yeah.
I don't know. That's the one part that I feel is lacking a little bit because I don't believe Ellie's revenge story.
Oh, you don't believe it?
I don't think so.
I think I started to believe it. And again, I guess you weren't here last week too. We talked about that with the ending of the previous episode,
Right.
and basically, the drawing the similarities between Ellie and Abby,
Right.
when she's dealing with Nora and basically the hatred and the she grabbed a pipe on purpose.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? She looked around for something to impose pain,
Right.
and she did, and she hit, and you could see the camera, just like in the game, specifically zooms in on her face to see like this, like, oh, she's liking this.
Yeah, I'm sure she's
Like
trying to mimic the same
this
thing.
revenge feels good to her.
Right.
Um, which again solidifies for me. I'm like, okay, we're starting to get that. Well, like we said last week, we're starting to get that anger, that sort of drive, that blood sort of the bloodlust, sort of like okay, I'm on this mission and I'm gonna have to do these things, and I'm okay with it. Um, now that, and I think what was crucial about that is that Dina was the centering factor, right? And I think they did that on purpose. So I do believe that now when she's on her own, she's away from them. Dina's not traveling with her. That she can summon this sort of anger that she had originally, because it
Right.
was Dina and the baby and the new relationship and all these things that kept bringing Ellie back to the point of like, you know what? We'll shut it down. We'll leave. We don't have to do this. And Dina is always kind of like either A, stoking her, like, okay, we should keep going forward. And if we hit something rough, we'll turn back. Or, you know what, like she's always been that kind of reason for Ellie to get out. In the game, she doesn't have a reason to get out. It's just anger.
Right.
Like she might have Dina, but she doesn't even in the game, she doesn't identify herself as like she doesn't, I don't even think she says the lines like, "Oh, I'm going to be a dad" or anything like that. She just is very happy for Dina, but they're also kind of worried because they're in a post-apocalyptic world and she's pregnant. Um, so it is interesting in the show that she's kind of the centering factor. I think that the reason why Ellie might be. But again, I think it's also a very interesting way they did it when Jesse and they're all sitting there and she gets hit with an arrow, they separate and instantly Ellie becomes the Ellie that we know.
Yes, she instantly chooses
They
the
remove
the
the
murder
anchor of her
thing.
life. Yeah, they
Oh,
remove the anchor and there's no longer Adina there saying like, "Hey, we can't push through this. We need to be quiet. We need to do these things." It's like, "Oh no, now we got uncaged Ellie by herself." Because again, if even who knows if I mean, I know she wouldn't have been down there with her, but because of the spores and everything, or maybe she would have and might would have died there. But does Dina let her do what she did? I don't know. Like have that vengeance. I don't know. Anyway, that's last episode, but
yeah.
that's kind of where I'm at. That's why I'm believing the things that are slowly starting to happen here now.
Uh,
We're slowly getting this wheel spinning now. That's the bringing us past the point of no return.
I just still think in this episode or in this show, the way that they've done it, it tells me that Ellie has too much to live for. Like
Oh yeah, but as a
Joel,
sane player,
every
that's the whole point of this.
yeah,
Right.
everything Joel did was out of love for Ellie,
Mm.
and I don't know if she's doing the same things for the love of Joel or if it's just become for the hate of Abby. Like I don't know if she's
And well,
right
yeah, that's exactly what this season's all about. That's what the whole game is about, right?
because
We're
I'm
gonna
not
get
sure if
there. We're
it's
gonna
love
see the
for her.
choices that
Yeah.
these characters make, but like one thing again, it's nobody even it's that whole thing. It's just like we talk about it in real life. It's the whole idea of these wars that have been going on for 500 years between groups of people,
Mm,
right? Nobody was there when it started. Nobody even understands sometimes why they hate the other person now. They just
right.
know they're grown up, they're taught to hate someone else. This is what we get here, right? One person does something terrible. It's no different than WLF and the Seraphites. How like nobody even realizes who's the worst person there. They're both terrible people.
Yeah.
Like they both just need to sit down and go like we are both doing terrible. How about you leave us alone? We'll leave you alone, and we'll leave it at that. We don't need to. We can work on being better with, but first we need to just stop hating each other.
Right.
Same thing kind of goes with Abby and Ellie here, right? We're gonna get that. We're gonna get that circle, that sort of tornado of anger that just keeps going round and round and round. Like, okay, I got even, but then Abby thinks, hey, like, no, I killed one person, you killed whatever. I'm gonna come back for you, and we're gonna come. Like,
Hmm.
it's this whole thing, and I think that's where you start getting more and more of that hate that kind of goes here. So it's gonna be very cool to see how this next episode works out, and to see the look on sort of everybody's faces as things sort of again take the next step, and that's what we're doing here. Every of these episodes is another step, except for this one. This one doesn't really do anything to to
Step
to
back.
push the anger forward, which again I don't like. That was my issue because we finally got this Ellie hatred train going. We finally got this thing chugging, and now we're gonna stop it.
Hmm.
And I don't think it's served well. I think we would have been better off putting it an episode before, or two episodes before, or somewhere else, or in the second season, not in this location, in
Okay.
my opinion. Um. Okay. Whew.
Hit us with the
Let's
ratings.
go to what was that?
Hit us with the ratings. Let's do it.
Hit the ratings. Boom. Okay. So here we go. We have everyone's rating in from last time. Ostrich gave the episode 5 a 7.5. Same as me,
Yeah.
actually.
Didn't see
Um,
his.
yeah, I'm assuming you didn't see any of it. So there you go. We're all in the same kind of idea. Very close on that. It's probably our closest one. 7.5s and 8. It's really close. We all kind of felt the same about it. But now we're in episode 6. Pogo wasn't able to be here again, like obviously at this point. Um, so he gave me his score ahead of time. He marked this one as an 8.5. He thoroughly enjoyed this. I also had some words I told me, he messaged me that I was going to share with you guys. He said, first of all, he said, "Holy shit, what a bad episode to skip out on," because he loved it. His sort of opinion breakdown of his first half was second half heartbreaking. Eugene had like 2 minutes of screen time and stole the show. That scene gutted me. And he also says, basically, holy bleep, Pedro can act, which we all knew. Pedro Pascal is crazy. He can do no wrong. And he even went ahead and said here, he's like, if I had to rate the first half, second half, and the whole thing, the first half he'd give a 7 out of 10. Second half of the episode he'd give a 9 out of 10. He said overall he'd give it an 8.5 out of 10. Um, yeah, very cool. And then he also said too, he said, he said, honestly, it was just literally from Eugene on that made it good for him. He loved from the second that they went out and that patrol went on. That was where the episode really resonated with him. Um, yeah, and that it really made him, it really made him, just feel the all the feelings there from the Eugene scene, which again we all can. I think anyone who has significant others or anything, and if something's gonna end, you just want to have that last conversation. To not get that and be robbed, like you'd see how that would be a bad thing. Um. Okay. Oh,
Nice work,
okay.
Mortal Leader.
Good work, moral leader. Yep. Okay. I went first last time. Austin, do you want to go first this time?
Uh, yeah, I don't have a number.
Nobody has a number. These ones are the toughest ones. I've struggled the
Oh.
last 2-3 weeks where we're getting these like good but not great. These are the worst ones to rank.
Like, what makes an episode good? And I think it's when you get those like those emotional parts, which the end of this one was incredible. Like Poka said, who's not here, the acting thing, like the scenes between Pedro when he gets sad and then like it's really really nice. And I think Last of Us does such a good job of finding those moments. Like they hated each other for the entire season too, and then we get that
Yep.
sweet sweet little glimpse of like them being kind of okay, and that's
Yeah.
what like makes people go ballistic. Like
Yep.
that's cool. um so I really liked that. I liked the Eugene one as well. I don't think I liked it as much as Poka did.
Mm.
um I felt more strongly, I think, about the museum than the Eugene scene. uh
Okay, so you like more the beginning part.
I
Well,
did. I like how much it showed how much love Joel had for her. And we knew it, but like for him to actually show it. And again, it's freaking Pedro Pascal acting in it. The smiles he has, the things he says, he delivers his lines extremely, extremely well.
yeah,
I like him. Um, I don't know.
you can see the numbers.
It's not an 8.5 for me.
It's not.
No.
You're
Uh,
shooting under.
yeah. It's
Hmm.
not. It's
Last
eight.
one was 7.5,
Yeah.
8.75, 8, 9.5, and a 7.
This was nice. I don't. Think it was better than the last one.
Yep.
So I guess it puts me kind of at like an 8-ish.
Okay. A
Um,
solid 8. You have it here, folks. A solid 8. Nothing wrong with an 8.
yeah, I don't feel happy about that, but I don't know what I'm supposed to feel.
What are you supposed to feel exactly? Okay. My breakdown here again too is man, it's a tough one because this is a special part of the game. This is a special part of the game, and I felt it here. I have no real main issues with the actual episode itself. As we have kind of outlined earlier, I'm like a broken record at this point. I have no problem with anything. Like literally, I have no problem with the directing. I have no problem with the acting. I have no problem with how it was written. I have nothing. Everything is great. Everything is great, and yet I just don't
Yet
know
it's
if I
not.
needed it at this time. I just don't think I needed it right here. Like that's my biggest gripe about it is that I'm ready to start getting on this roller coaster of what's coming and it's like I'm just trying to get on this flipping train and it just keeps taking off on me. I'm like, oh, like what gotta go like, oh no, I gotta go do this other bag check before I go on this train. I gotta do this like I just like, quit teasing me. Even though again, I am the number one person saying like, hey, this is moving too fast. It just feels like I don't know, like it's yeah, maybe it just feels this way because there's been 7 episodes only. It'll be 7 episodes and not, 8 or
Sounds like you
9,
have
and
a
I'm
real
and I'm
pacing
pressed
issue.
because of that. Yeah, like, I again, I just I agree with what Poca said, like, Pedro is great actor, see again. I got no problem with Bella Ramsey, she's killing it. Um, I you know, how everyone's acting and this important backstory of how they got to where they are is super important, and yeah, I don't know. It just feels like, I'm not sure. I'm caught out in the middle of nowhere. I'm not grounded to what's going on, right? Like I think if I didn't know which direction the game was going, I think if I was just a general consumer, which again, like I said, multiple weeks, I talk to people at where I work and I talk to other people who I know haven't played the game, and I don't know. Like people always said too, like, oh, I feel for Joel and stuff that I talked to, but they also didn't say like, "Oh wow, what an episode!" Right? When we watched episode 2, people come up and go, "Whoa, what an episode!" Or this, "Wow, what a thing!" What's it? No one says that. I haven't heard anyone say that about this. That's been locally around me too, which means I'm wondering if they're feeling similar to how I feel and just being like,
Well,
"It was
Matt,
another good episode." But
sorry.
no, go for it.
I was gonna say, an episode 2 is like that's an episode that
Yeah,
destroys people. Like
yeah. It always
that's your
was.
Ned Stark Game of Thrones.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
That's your
your
one you talk
yeah,
about. Like, oh, yeah,
yeah.
no, 100%. Um, again, just like Ostrich for me, this is tough to rank. I don't know where it puts me, um, because I love the backstory. It's important. I have,
I love the
how can
feel
you?
good scenes. Like the museum was lovely. Like I was smiling the whole time.
Well, it's something we haven't got from the show, right? You don't get those.
No.
Certainly haven't got them this season. You certainly haven't really got them in last season. You got fun little like you get fun little one-liners and fun things that remind that, oh yeah, she's just a kid. It's a weird world.
Hmm.
You get these reminders
There's
all.
always a dark undertone to any happiness. Whereas in
Yeah,
the museum it
exactly.
just felt happy.
Yep. And I love seeing again like how just how Joel was pouring everything he could into this child. It was basically Sarah. This was his um surrogate daughter, so to speak, or his adopted daughter, sorry, so to speak. And it just you can see the gut get ripped out of him and why he makes the decisions that he does. But yeah, for me, I think I'm putting this thing at I'm gonna go 7.5 again this week as
Mm.
well. Again, not an issue with the episode at all. Like there was stuff there. It was good. We I I know I said last week I didn't love the 44-minute runtime and I wish it was longer. I appreciate that we got a little bit more this time, but I almost would have liked it more if this one was 44 minutes and the last one
Fair.
was 50 whatever. You know what I mean? Like we sprinted through some stuff in the last episode.
Yeah.
So, um yeah, this is it's interesting. I yeah, I feel like I go with a 7.5 on this one as well. And that's what I'll put. Two 7.5s and an 8.5.
No,
Wait,
I
or did
said
you
that
give it
was
an
an
8?
8, but I
My
was
bad.
as soon as I said it, I didn't like it. I wanted to give it a 7.75, but I
No.
didn't want to get yelled at. So
Well, it's already too late. I can go 7.75 if you want.
7.75 me, please.
Okay, 7.75. I'll go 7.5 and Polka's at 8.5. So,
And the
yeah,
IMDb rating for this one was an 8.8,
wow.
which is
Crazy high.
pretty dang high.
We were talking a little bit before about like what the IMDb ratings for the first season were again, which I can't believe it because I thought the first season was really good. Like
Oh, I know. Nuts,
I
yeah.
thought the first season was really really good.
It's also
And
crazy how much the ratings go down in terms of the amount of people. Like the first 3
yeah,
episodes was 118,000, 108,000, 237,000. Even by the end of that season, like the finale was 53 and then 53,000. And the highest number we've gotten in this season was 52,000. So like
yeah.
it's crazy how much the people stop watching shows.
Well, it depends on their like what drives them emotionally too, right? Like how many times have you seen, you know, a really terrible episode suddenly gets a million reviews on something because it's terrible and people have to voice their opinion,
Truth.
or something like,
Yeah,
a
there's no better word
controversial
for
in
it.
quotations happens and someone has to go and they have to review bomb or they have to, you know what I mean? Like that's the one issue again too with some of these review things, but I agree too. Like it's nothing wrong with it. Like in a perfect world, like it's a great episode. A great episode. I just don't love it now knowing going into next week. like going to next week knowing we got one episode and the stuff I've seen from the next scene or from scenes from next time makes me think, holy crap, we're hopping back on this railroad, this like,
Let's check that out. Let's take a look.
and I don't know if I'm gonna love, like, I don't know how long it is, but I don't know if I'm gonna love going at breakneck speed through some of this stuff again too. But we'll see how that all works out. Yeah. Oop, that's the wrong one. There we go. Um, yeah. So,
Whoa.
yeah, my bad. I have a second one in there. I got to remember to remove it. Oh, what are you all over there now
What am I
for?
doing?
Oh, wait, we're on 2 people. Ah, that's not it. Holy moly. Click the right button one time.
Hey, there it is.
Hey, we're back. We're back, people.
See how long-
Yeah, so scenes from next time, we'll go over that right away. Any final statements here before we sign off for this week? Sounds like nothing.
I don't think so. I liked it more than
Hopes
I
and
thought I
dreams
would.
for next time.
Nope.
Okay.
I got nothing.
I hope they do everything right. I'm excited. This will be the next although I don't know, we'll have a lot to talk about whether everything's earned and not and how we feel. I think this is where we're going to see, I think where I get my responses from you guys on this next one is going to be what I'm going to be interested in to see how you feel about the decisions being made. Because it's been going so quick, so we haven't got as much time with some of these characters, and I
Man,
don't
only been
know
2 months.
if everything's gonna feel
like,
earned or not.
you wait years to
Yeah,
watch a show for 2 months, and
not
then
even.
you get Abby's, like, she comes out of nowhere. Like, she has 20 minutes of screen time and she murders Joel. Like,
Yeah,
TV's a weird thing.
TV's a weird thing, and it's too bad. I said before too. I was, and again, different episode too, and this is the last, not a really last thought, but it sucks that this is gonna be the last thing we get until probably 2027 for sure.
It's gonna be a while.
'Cause I think they're only starting shooting season 3 in 2026 if we're lucky. Last time I think it took them 3 months to shoot this season or something, and then another, I don't know, 6-7 months to edit it.
Okay.
So it's crazy. I wish they would have just shot season 2 and 3 because you're not ending the show after season 2. Once you signed on for season 2, you're in for season 3
Just rip it all.
because well, you're not telling if suddenly the show gets canceled or something at the end of season 2, like you're not telling a full story. There's no ending point there,
Right.
right? Like,
And
and
it
you're
just
signed on for
wouldn't. Like, they're putting so much
yeah.
money into this show. Like,
Well, and I feel like you have to, right? If you sign up for season 2, you knew sitting at the board negotiating, like, if you're on for season 2, we're in for season 3.
right.
There's no feeling this season out as we go. You're in for this, like, you're all in,
Well, people can
essentially.
see the end, right? Like, they know what's gonna happen if they just look at it. So
Yeah.
you gotta
So
know it's coming.
I don't know. I'm just there's a lot riding on next season. I think as to how many people are going to be excited or come back for the 3rd season. So, um, yeah. Anyway, then we'll be back next week with the final, oh my goodness, final episode of season 2. Hopefully, blown away. I'm just ready to give a 10. Just ready. But if you liked what we saw here, make sure you leave a like and everything down below. If you find us on YouTube, thanks for watching. Hit a sub if you like it. Look up these boys that are over here. Ostrich is talking about maybe doing some streaming later on.
Thinking about
We'll
coming
see.
back.
Knock on wood. Let's come back. Don't call it a comeback.
No, I've been here
It's
for
been here
years.
for years. Yep. All right. But yeah, then we'll catch y'all back here next week. Peace.
Okay, can I get